What's going on, guys? Hopefully, you all had a good weekend. And last week was just, I would say it was amazing for us traders, man. Definitely excited seeing you guys taking advantage of the markets. And just going through this experience, right? It's just only going to set you up on understanding how to take advantage of opportunities to come, right? Because if everything is a lot stressful and confusing now, it's going to get easier. You just have to stick with it long enough, right? Because if you just look back in the past, when we had recessionary fears that came into the markets, and then we look at how the markets reacted afterwards, it's just showing you the opportunities are there to come, right? There's always plenty of opportunities, taking advantage to the downside, taking advantage to the upside. And the best part about it is that it's usually one-sided, you know. So that's one of the reasons why I'm just excited for the future for all of us when it comes to investing in these markets, because I know that we're going to be able to take advantage of a lot of these opportunities, just to get you guys a little excited about it. But in order for us to be ready and to be present for this, we do have to work on ourselves outside of trading, right? Definitely in trading, but outside of trading, because you got to put yourself in a financial position to be able to take advantage of this. And then when you start making the money that you envision yourselves, when you envision yourself to make, right? You have to put yourself in a position of where you can maintain it and get more. A lot of us could get it, but we don't know how to maintain it. So this is what everything outside of trading is just has to come in place, right? But in order for us to even reach to that point, what I want to talk about today is it depends on how you see yourself and how you talk to yourself every day. When you are trading in these markets, you have to tell yourself that you are the best to ever do this shit. Like, you have to literally tell yourself that every single day. You have to think of yourself as you are the best, even though in logical sense, like, yes, there people out there better than us, and yes, there is. There's always somebody out there that's probably better than you, but you can't think that way personally. You have to tell yourself you are the greatest to ever do this, because if you don't, you already lost. And when it comes to figuring it out, like, what I do in the past calls, I talk about, everything that we try to learn in life is just a puzzle. Every one of you here has a unique puzzle to figure it out your life, right? When it comes to trading, when it comes to personal development, whatever it is that you're trying to do to improve and get good at, you're capable of learning and getting great at anything, because it's been proven time and time again that we could accomplish anything we put our minds to. But for our individual selves, right? It's just about figuring out that puzzle. Everybody pieces of the puzzle is different. And what could stop your personal growth is that you're thinking your puzzle is the same as the next person. And it's not the same, because everybody goes through different experiences in their life when it comes to how they're disciplined, when it comes to them growing up in a certain environment. They make different type of choices. They make different decision makings when it comes to certain things that come up. Everything is different when it comes to choices and decisions. Your decision making, your choice making is a lot different from the next person because of what they went through in their life. But if you continuously try to put the same pieces as the next person, you're literally stunting your own growth. Because even when it comes to the trading perspective, there's a lot of people that are successful in trading in their own way, right? But the thing is, they learn from a person, they grab what works for them, but they also try to use what makes the most sense to them, right? It's not exactly like, oh, let me just mimic every single thing that person does, because we all done it. Like, when you go on YouTube, you try to mimic that person, and you do it for years, it never works. We all been through that story, right? But you just have to learn that, you are your own person, and you have to figure out what is stopping you from reaching to that next point, right? And this is where I talk about, like, because when I say, like, again, just think about it. When I say like, there's something that is stopping you from reaching to that next level, and you all know what it is because it's just that one thing where you're like every day when you do it, you go fuck, I need to stop, right? Or that one thing you tell yourself, I should be doing that more. We all know what it is. And one of the things that you have to learn and get good at is understanding faith, right? Because it's like, what if I stop this thing that it is holding me back and I actually give it my all? And what if it doesn't work? Right? That's a fear that we all go through. We all go through that fear. What if it doesn't? What if? You have to let go of that doubt. You have to let go of that fear and just give it everything you fucking have. And just don't care about the time. If you literally go all in and say, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, and I'm going to figure it out. And you know what? I am the best at this. Eventually, those pieces will start coming together in your puzzle. You will start to figure it out. And then the story of what we're talking about now, it's going to be different because you're going to understand what growth look like. Because when you start improving in your life, you're not going to be the same, and you're going to notice the difference in your attitude, your mentality, the way people look at you, the way people talk with you. That people's going to start coming to you for advice all the time. You're going to see yourself changing individually, and just randomly, you're going to start seeing your bank account change. You're going to see the people that follow you change. The way you look is going to change. It's just a weird way of explaining it, but you just like we all go through it, but we just can't overthink. We just have to just go out there and just do it, and just keep beating on that wall, and just understand if we keep continue to follow that right path, eventually it is going to work. Eventually it will work. All right, and most of us, most of us, we don't have that individual drive that we could just wake up in the morning and just go get it. Sometimes you have to find what drives you. What is it? Figure it out. What is that thing that can keep you in just go mode 24/7, right? Because everything that we do right now from here on out, it's all about making good choices. Whatever choices that you're making, you're either going to make a bad choice or you're going to start making a good choice. Even when it comes to trading, it's choices, right? It's a decision. Do I take a trade here or do I wait and I take a trade here? Should I buy or should I sell? It's choices. And how do you work on being good at decision making and good at choices? You start from within. You start from your daily habits and you start working on making better decisions every single day of your life. And then when it starts coming into the markets, a skill set that we all are learning, you're going to see yourself making good choices, right? This is where the concept of being a pro, and this is something that I think about every day, right? Even when it comes to family, my relationship, the relationship with my kids, I like the friends, the decisions that I make is what would a pro decision be? Like, how would a pro make a choice, right? Because if you just think in that perspective every day, because we all know the best version of ourselves, what that person looked like. What is the decisions the best version of ourselves will make in every single decision? The thing is we listen to it now, but when it's time to actually put in the work and actually put into action, you don't think about it. You just go back to your norm. You go back to what's comfortable. And you have to work on those little adjustments. It's just before you take a trade or before you even make a decision, what would a pro do in this situation? What would the pro me do? What would the highest version of myself do in this situation? And then when you think like that long enough, you're going to see yourself making a whole bunch of, you're going to see your whole perspective change in life. Your decisions is going to be different. You're going to see yourself growing through this perspective. And there's a lot of us here that are currently going through it. And one of the things that I just love to see, because there's a lot of us here that are doing really well in this space, but some people just keep it to themselves, but like, that's why I try to get most of you guys to just share as much as you can. Just share it, right? Because when you finally start becoming the person that that you can be, it's a really, really good feeling. And this becomes fun. Winning becomes fun, right? Because it is it hard work? Yes, it is hard, but embrace it. Like embrace the hard work because the rewards, this is the life that you want. We all want this life, right? We all want it. But you have to be in love with the actions that it takes to get there. And trust me, it's not at first it's not fun. It's hard. Like journaling, I talk to people, most people don't want to journal. Most people don't even watch the videos that I post. I used to do all of that. That was all that I used to do when I first started. Like I used to just watch nothing but trading content, put in the hours that I put in. But I just told myself, if I knew I worked 8 hours a day, imagine if I put 3 to 5 hours a day into my craft. How good would I be at the end of the year? How good would I be? And this goes for all of you. When you cannot be ashamed of being this person. Because at first I never wanted to tell people that I was a trader and stuff. I never wanted to. But you have to just let it be real. Envision yourself being successful. Envision yourself winning trades for the week. What does that look like? Okay. And hopefully, a lot of you guys here, like Carlos, James, Tiara, right? Wayne. And the difference is these guys, they continue to put in the work until they wanted to see what their real selves look like when they were successful. We all owe that to ourselves. There's no reason for any of us to quit before we reach that mark. But you're not going to get there unless you change who you are, how you think, because when I was starting in this path before, like when I was living in New York, when I was living in Brooklyn, right? Things was happening in my life that was moving differently. But then I had the conversation with myself. I was like, fuck, I'm still acting and thinking like Sakeem Bradley that lives in Williamsburg projects. I'm not thinking like to the investor. I'm not thinking like the entrepreneur. I'm not thinking like the multimillionaire. I'm not thinking like I'm the best trader in the world. I was still thinking and acting like I was still in the projects with that same environment, working the same job. I had the same mindset. You had to change. I had to change, right? This is why I was able to be where I am today, where trading could literally take care of my lifestyle. I could, and for my family. It's not just for me. Like my wife doesn't work. My kids could go to great schools. I could drive the car that I want. I don't have to worry about bills. And I had to change my mindset in order for that to come to my reality, right? I had to change it. But in order for us to do that, I talked about it last week. Change what you listen to every day. Involve yourself around people that sees the same goals, that influence you. Don't care about what people think. That is one of the main things. Is don't worry about what people think of you, how they think of you. Remember, all the bullshit and hatred is going to come from the people that are below you, never above. Those are one of the toughest things we all have to care about because we all care about people's opinion. You have to learn not to, right? And just follow these little steps, and then when you give it you all, when you come into the trading markets, you're going to see yourself making really good decisions. You're going to see yourself making some money. The only times you're going to lose is when you go back to your old habits. And we all understand that. We always end up going back and making, when I be like, oh, what happened to you today? You go, damn, I did what I used to do in the past, right? And it's okay, we're normal. But every single one of us know how it feels to win. We know what we did in order to be successful, right? In order to win the trade for the week. We all know what it takes. It's just that we have to do that longer, right? And more consistently. And then it's going to start becoming a habit. Then you're going to start seeing those withdrawals. Then you're going to start seeing you building your account. Then the confidence is going to come. Okay. So hopefully this was helpful. And if anyone you want to share, just like your journey in trading, right? Or the things that you had to let go in life, because sacrifice is one of the main things. Like most of you don't think that you have to sacrifice something. You got to sacrifice something, and it's something that that is stopping you from getting to your better version of yourself. You have to sacrifice it, right? Like even when it comes to your health, you got to sacrifice the type of food that you eat, right? In order to trade a certain session, you got to sleep a little earlier. You're not used to that. You got to sacrifice that. Like you got to sacrifice spending time with certain people. You got to sacrifice playing a game, right? There's things that you do have to sacrifice in order to reach that next step. Did you sacrifice something yet? Do you remember even are you even going to sacrifice something, right? And it's not just in trading, it's just in life in general, but you have to. But again, if you guys want to share, floor is open. Anybody can.
Please, Wayne, can I say something?
Yes, sir.
All right. One of the things that resonated with me a while ago, I think you did that back last year when you talk about having people that make you accountable. Remember that topic we had
Yeah.
about accountability? And I think one of the things that works for me is that I have from here, Carlos and Jesse, we kind of form our own group. Well, not just us, Tiara comes in when she's ready, when she feels like it. But we hold each other accountable, and I'm gonna be on 100% honest with you. I think that's one of my biggest game changers. Like I bounce ideas off them, stuff like that. We say, hey, we talk, hey, what do you think about this trade, blah blah blah, and we both, we all, each of us, give our input. And when we fail, we keep each other up. We just said, knock it off, shake it off, on to the next trade. And I can tell you, you know, I've spoken to people this week. Last week proved to me that I'm in the best group. This is the best group around. Not, I'm not here to blow smoke up Sakim's butt or anything like that. But this is the best group around. And last week proved it. I have friends who are in other groups and they have lost money, and the guys who are the so-called gurus have no idea, right? I give you an example, like fun fact, Alex G he's on Instagram. He was coming up with this Only Signals group, and I just joined it just to see what kind of trades he would be giving out. And the trades that he was giving out, I looked at them, I said to myself, this is not this ain't gonna work. Why would you want to be short in the US dollar at this point when when it was going to be strong, or he wanted to, they were short in the yen and whatever, and then he's on his Instagram like trying to figure out what's going on. And in my mind, it's just simple fundamentals. You need to know, you have to have a reason to get into trade. It's not just technicals, right? And if you notice, guys, the newbies, if you like people like Keegan, who's here, like you ask him, wait, why do you get into gold? He has a reason, and 90% of it is because of fundamentals. And I just want to say thanks, Sakim. I got lucky when I found you when you were at Uprise. I was smart to go with you instead of the other idiot. I won't call his name. And I like he said, this year we're gonna be winning, man. So I just want to appreciate. I would just appreciate what all the things you've done for us, man. The sacrifice, the hard work, keeping us in tune with what's going on, and I'm starting to reap the results.
Yeah,
One
that's
hundred
awesome,
percent.
man. Thank you. Yeah, I love that. I just want people to hear it more, because especially in the space, like the only thing we hear people are winning are from like like you said, like people say like the gurus of trading. We just see their stories. But for us, where we need to show our wins. We need to show, like to the majority, like what is how it's really going about, right? Because a lot of these guys are great at marketing, so they're good at exposing the industry to people, but a lot of people don't see the real traders like us on a daily basis actually win. Like it's just like when we all go through it. You only see the person that's actually winning. They're driving the $3 million car with the beautiful home. We just see that, right? So like you have a bar that is like that high where they show the profits of like 100K a day profits. So we just see those expectations, right? We don't really see the real day-to-day trading. You know, we don't see the real people on the daily grind, right? We don't see the family man that like just gonna say Carlos, the family man, the entrepreneur, right? The doing real estate and trading at the same time, making real good money, like making the right choices, staying, being faithful and with his wife and being a good dad. We don't see all of that. We just see the how loud and obnoxious how most people be, right? So you just get those expectations, and it fucks you up, right? Because when you're looking at those people at that bar, right, you don't see any work ethic. They make it seem like trading is just behind it. Oh, look, 100K today, right? But in every sport or every anything that you look at that takes skill, people that are great at what they do, you understand that they have an extreme work ethic. You understand that they have a certain discipline that is very unique to a lot of people. So when it comes to like you can't say that I want to be a great soccer player like Ronaldo, right? And you know you're not going to reach that status because you're like, your first thing is like, fuck, this guy wakes up at 3 in the morning and he goes straight to the gym. And your first perspective is like, nah, man, that's too early for me. It makes sense. That's where the separation comes, right? The work ethic. Like most people are used to, they're just not, they don't see what it takes, right? You just see the reward. But that's why, like, I don't really, that's what started with me. You know, I had to understand that perspective was like, they introduced me to it. They showed me what was possible, but you have to believe that it's real, right? And then everything else is just going to follow. You know, like everything else is going to follow. You're going to understand the work ethic, the decision making, the choices, keeping yourself accountable, right? That's it's the same thing. You know, when you find somebody or find something to help hold you accountable, you'll be really surprised on how good you can be. Majority of people that I work with, it's just accountability. You know what I'm saying? Just to make that change. Because like when you have somebody to say, hey, like just make sure that I wake up in the morning and go to the gym, right? And if that person does that for you every single day, eventually you'll see change. You know, and it goes for anything, even with trading. It's like, hey, you know, I need to make the right choices, right? I just like I'm gonna let me go over this trade with you. Let me know if it's a good idea or not. Or it's like, okay, I'm up in profit. Normally I let it go, but then if you have somebody to say, hey, a win's a win, take that win. And then you do it more enough, you're gonna start seeing consistency. So that's why like accountability, it's key in our lives and everything that we do. Because in this craft, this is the only thing that there's nobody out there to really say like, here's your reward. You know, like you're doing jujitsu, they give you a stripe, they give you a belt. Like, yeah, you could go to the next level once you learn this, right? When it comes to school, you graduate, you get a diploma. But when it comes to this trading, you don't really get that. You know, because you can make 100,000, you can make 1,000 one day, and then you can lose 3 grand the next day. So it's like, how do you know if am I at that next stage, right? That's why it's just this. You have to think that you are right now today. You have to think that you're the best today. You have to feel like and act like you are a millionaire trader. You have to act like you have to envision yourself and pretend and in your mind, I have $1 million account. I made over millions of dollars of withdrawals. You have to act like that person today. You can't like the success is not going to come first. You have to become first. You have to become the person first. If you see yourselves acting and dressing a certain way, start dressing and acting that way today. Like if you start doing that, you're gonna mentally feel and act like you're just the greatest at what you do, and then you're gonna start making those good choices. Then you're gonna start seeing changes in your bank account. Then you're gonna start seeing changes in your trading account. It's not gonna be. It doesn't work that way. It's not. Let me just be the most laziest person that I am today. Like let me just be who I am today, and then eventually, if I just still do it, success will come eventually. It's not gonna happen. You have to change first. You have to make those adjustments first. And then everything else is going to follow. And that's just with everything. That's just how life works, right? And just don't worry about the how part. Don't worry about the how part. Don't worry about the figuring it out. Don't worry about that. That's not up to us. right? Our job right now is to every day, what I'm doing today, am I making myself 1% better? And just do the right choices. You all know what it is. And when you start doing it, it may take time. Don't rush it, but it what you will start seeing differences. And like what Wayne said is you're going to see yourself. He's just going to have a breakthrough where it's like, yeah, these people here, this is really I could see myself doing this in another year from now. It is no way I'm gonna go back to who I was 2 years ago. No way I will not improve. And you're gonna get that breakthrough. And then you're gonna start seeing other people doing this shit. And you're gonna be like, this is crazy. People are really following this shit, and you're gonna go through it because I went through it too. I'm like I listened to a little bit of what he was saying about the video on trading under Trump's markets. Nothing was about fundamentals, tariffs, just technicals. And
Yeah, 100%, dude.
yeah, and
I
it's
was laughing
like
about that.
yeah, it's really good. Like he's great. Like you can't knock a person's success. He's successful in his way, right? So he's doing amazing. But when it comes to the expectations, it's like, damn, like you're gonna realize that you're learning the right shit. You're gonna see what's really possible, and then because you're gonna start seeing that type of stuff, and you're gonna go, yeah, like this is not it. Because like you're trading the markets every single day. You're going to start seeing how the markets move. You're going to understand it a lot. So you just have to go through that change yourself, but don't rush the process, right? And just follow those little steps. But yeah, if anybody else want to share, I'm gonna read
Can I ask a question?
the question. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
So been training about a year and a half, been focusing on fundamentals about 6 months. And I have a great amount of success, followed by crash and burn, probably busted about 150 funded accounts. I just went back to just paper trading on TradingView about 3 weeks or a month ago. It's still been a roller coaster. I had a great week this last week, but my question is twofold. First question is, Sakeem, what would you say about me only taking trades? And forgive me if you mentioned this
That's
in a
fine.
previous content, but only taking trades when we have a clear, strong catalyst, headlines, data, something that I can actually just pin down like, okay, such and such was said, such and such happened. This is a great opportunity as opposed to taking trades when I don't have an identifiable catalyst.
Yeah. So when I trade, right, I like to only focus on high probability setups. Like an example, Friday when China came out at 6 in the morning. I'm taking my kids to school. China came out with that headline. The first thing I did was look at gold, and I bought gold, especially at the breakout of the 5 minute. I didn't really care about the technicals, but I understood how that would make it move, right? So that gave me a higher conviction. Plus, I increased my lot size, so I had a higher conviction. And then if I look into the day trade gold, I understand that it's 50-50. From my perspective of what I'm going through, if there's no catalyst going on. So you have a decision to lower the lot size. But what I recommend is like if you want to trade this way, you have to fully go in 100% in trading this way and only wait for those setups. And then like you had a good week last week, do everything you did last week this week, waiting for those setups. If there's nothing that comes up for the week, don't take a trade for the week. There are people that are trading that way. There are investors and fundamentals that do trade that way. We just don't see it. And do it long enough until you could build a record where you're like, okay, well, when I trade this way, like, how do you feel? Right? I'm more confident when I have reasons behind my entries. I'm more confident when I'm more I understand that, okay, this is what's going to work for me, and do it long enough, right? And then journal it. And then once you could get a track record of that, and if you want to go back to the technicals just to see how it works, journal how that worked. And then you have both of them you could look at together, and then you could just ask yourself, what is the best option for me to go? And just stick with it. Okay. Because if you had a good week doing it, I would just stick with that long enough. Because like we're human. We're gonna like there's gonna be a day where you're looking at the markets and you're gonna go, I like to set up. I want to take a sell just because I see a break of structure, but there's no reasons, right? And then what's going to happen? You're going to lose the trade, and then you're going to go, fuck. Like why did I know I should. Let me just stick to what I'm normally doing. Sorry, one sec.
So you're okay. You think it can be a great idea and be successful to only take trades when we have headlines or data or just a strong catalyst to take it on. Only. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Hopefully, I don't hear that alarm. Hopefully, they turn it off. All right, good.
We don't hear it.
Yeah. Okay. So for me, that's what works for me, and I feel like that is the best way to start off building success and being consistent with trading. Yes. You wasn't there in the beginning though when I was talking about when it comes to your trading journey is about we all have a different puzzle, right? And we all
Oh,
have
I
to
heard you. Yeah.
figure out, yeah. So it's good to understand the concepts, but you have to figure out your comfort level because your risk management level, because you're probably could be really good at technical trades, but if you lower your lot sizes, focus on risk management, you'll probably do a lot better than most people. Sometimes, like me, I don't like to deal with the what ifs. So that's why I only wait for reasons in the markets like economic data, fundamental events. Cause I don't want to deal like with the what ifs. Okay, what happens if I got a 40 pip stop loss, but what if it retraces 25 pips to 30 pips? And then I'm like, fuck, should I close the trade? Right. I don't want to deal with all of that. So I rather take trades that I know that's going to go in my favor, and the only problem I'm going to have is taking profit because maybe I could win that trade for 15 pips, but I probably won't win it for 50, right? So I'd rather deal with that perspective than to deal with the what ifs if the trades goes against me, but I can't because we all trade differently, and I have to be open minded to that. So there's no best way to trade. There's no best way. It's about what makes the most sense for you from a comfort level. So I like the idea of just focusing on economic data, news events, yes, because that's what drives the markets. But then there's somebody else that just focus completely on technicals, right? And they're doing very well with that too. So it's just about what makes the most sense for you. But if you say, I traded this way and I finally saw some success doing it, then that's what's working for you.
Sorry, one quick question, and you're very welcome to postpone this question until other people have asked their questions. And it's kind of a long one, so you can answer it however, whatever channel you want to answer it on. The bias of gold and equities right now, is that too long of a question to answer?
Yeah, go ahead, because it helps other people too.
I mean, just my question is, what is your bias on gold right now due to we have de-escalations, we have all these things, and your bias right now on equities as well? Kind of a long question. Sorry.
Yeah, like because like right now we had the sell-offs on gold, right? And it happened after tariffs got implemented. But when we look at before tariffs came in place, we saw that gold was a complete buy. So this week, I'm going to do it on a weekly prep. On the 9th, we're going to have tariffs coming in again. So at the moment, I still like gold from a buy bias from that perspective, right? And majority of it is just neutral overall. But when we see that tariffs is coming into place, I like the idea of that coming in as buys. If we see that wars are coming into place, I like the idea of gold buys, right? But sometimes we just can, markets are forward looking. The way that gold reacted last week, it was more to me of a overall profit taking move than a de-escalation move.
Oh,
So I still like the idea of buys on gold. When it comes to equity sells, I feel like obviously, the administration, I think they want to push equity prices lower, right? Because I don't know, Wayne said we talked about it too. They're forcing the markets to buy into bonds. So the recessionary fears is what's dropping equity markets. The question is now, are we gonna see an extra leg of more downside? Because if we do, I still like the sell opportunities for that because I don't think it's an overall recessionary fear. There's nothing really strategically saying that we're in a recession other than JP Morgan saying like, well, I think that the market should worry about recession. It's just assumptions, right? So just the assumption itself could crash the markets. It allows people to be in fear. So that fear is what's dropping the market. So as long as that continues, we're going to still take over the sells. So I like the sells from equities from a sentiment perspective, but from a data perspective, I think buys will happen eventually. What I want, because I was going to talk about it in the weekly prep,
Okay.
like I don't want people to miss out on this opportunity. Like you gotta because when everything starts changing around again, you look back in 2022, 2028, and all those years, all those times that we had a crisis. The problem with today, the crisis is trade wars. It's just as bad as everything else. It's just not COVID, right? But the drop that we're having is we don't normally see this until like every decade. And this is where the opportunities are going to come. But we need to see if consumers react to it as a crisis. Because once consumer spending comes down, more downside for the stock market, right? So you could take advantage of that. But once things start to reverse, markets just go one direction. So once that those buys start to come in place, and we don't know when it's going to happen, right? Maybe 2 months from now, but I want us to be able to capitalize on it. So I like equity sales right now from a sentiment perspective, not from a data perspective yet. I like equity upside still, unless things change between geopolitical tensions. Unless that changes or trade war changes. But I have a feeling that we're going to see more of it this week because other countries, I just posted in the weekly prep. We see that Vietnam and there was another country, Vietnam and something else, that they also looking to put tariffs to zero. So if more countries start coming in and we see that trade wars is not being escalated the way that we are expecting it to, we're probably going to see the recovery a lot quicker than what we did in the past. But I think it's just a wait and see game. At the moment, I would be neutral. Like if at the moment, follow the trend. If the equity markets are failing, you can't try to call a bottom. Take those sells, right? Gold, be more technical perspective. And when the buy opportunities come again, take it. But the thing is now is we could get a headline that shows market fear, and gold probably will still be at a long-term sell bias, right? Because we just have to be prepared for that from a technical perspective. Like yesterday, like last week, we saw that gold just drop like a lot of pips yesterday, but the fears are still there. But how come gold fell, right? So be neutral when it comes to gold, but I still like let's see this week we see some upside in gold if things stay the same, but just be more neutral for now. But at least it makes sense, like just neutral. Yeah, neutral and gold. Thanks. Yeah, exactly.
I have one more question, Sakim.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was listening, so thank you for the course. I'm listening and I recommend everybody listen to it. You mentioned in a part of the course where you say that when about central banks and when they start looking at their forecasts, right? And let's say that there's an expectation that they're going to cut rates, and you also said that from that point, people when they announce their rate cuts, and if they don't see no movement, is because the move is already gone, and that you said that is because of the markets are forward looking.
Yeah.
Could we see the same thing that's happening with gold, or you think that's, yeah, last week I was,
Yeah.
I mean, I will admit that I was a little surprised that gold fell that much.
Yeah, that's
And I
what
was
I was.
thinking,
Yeah,
yeah, go
exactly.
ahead.
I was telling Carlos that I was like, I'm seeing a drop in gold, and I'm assuming that because gold is a hedge for uncertainty, and if
Yes.
we've seen gold reacting this way, and we know there are big players buying gold, like central banks are buying gold. We know that there's big banks and institutions in buying in gold. If they're shorting gold first, what if they believe that tariffs is not that bad? What if they believe that recessionary fears is not bad? And when it comes to central bank projections, right? If the central banks really felt like a recession was going to come near, they would have been giving us hints in all those um, events that we're watching, all those central bank speakers that we're watching. They would give us a hint of uncertainty, and they're not, right? So they would give us it's their job to create stability. And if they're seeing the equity markets drop the way that it is, they're still saying, I don't see a recession in the forecast, right? The only difference now is that before the central banks was a lot more brave to say that the markets is not following our projections. They're not doing that now. So I think they understand what's really going on and they know that this is temporary, right?
Mhm.
And if they could stay, they know it's temporary, and if they could continue to stay their route, the markets will eventually correct itself.
Okay.
So that's why I'm not afraid like of man, what if we missed a drop? Because I think the rise was going to be a lot bigger. So the only thing I would focus on is the retaliations of other countries, right? Because that could mess everything up. But I can't see that, because the only way I could see that happening is if the whole world says the US is our enemy, and then we're going to treat you like the enemy, right? And then we all going to come and we're going to invest in China. We can't see that happening. So I think
Mhm.
eventually they have no choice but to make negotiations and start to adapt, right?
Okay.
And I think that's what's going to happen next is that the adapt like countries adapting to this new policy, this new world. Yes, it's going to cause turbulence because it's new. It's like imagine making 150,000 a year, and then your boss is like, "Hey, like your bills, everything you've been paying for the next for the 5 years, your all your bills is like at 80,000 a year. You making 150. Then your supervisor's like, yo, we all got to take pay cuts. Now you're making 50 grand a year. You're gonna be mad as hell, right? You gonna like how they all treat Trump. Yo, you the devil. We hate you. Blah blah blah. The
Mhm.
business is gonna do good because the businesses is keeping the money, right? That's America. But individual countries taking that hit, it's like, yo, we can't do that hit. We have to keep. I want to keep everything the same. My bills are 70,000 a year, right? Now I'm making 50. If you don't make a change, you eventually will go bankrupt. But in order to make that adapt, you got to change everything. You got to change your whole lifestyle. You got to change probably all your debt has to be back to 40,000 a year. That takes time, right? You have to go through a huge change. So I think that countries will eventually make that change. I think,
Yeah.
but it's just hard. Like if you've been doing it for the past 50 years, you're like, nah, maybe we could get a person to budge. Maybe we could get other countries to come in place. But
Part of it also is
yeah,
that they don't want to feel like they're coattailing to bowing to Trump. So
Trump's exactly because
I
they know
think
the
that
U.S. 4 years.
yes, I do think there's going
Yeah,
to be some uncertainty in the time being, but for the next couple of
exactly.
months. Yeah,
Because if you know your supervisor is only going to be there for 4 years, and then after the 4 years, shit could go back to normal. If you could try to stall it for 4 years, then hopefully it could go back to normal, right? You would think that. But what
absolutely.
happens if? But then eventually, it's like you'll go bankrupt though, because it's already being in place. So it's like if you continue to play that route, you could end up losing your house now. You're gonna lose your car, And the same thing for the country is like how they're gonna be able to afford all of this stuff. They're gonna actually go crippled, right? So I think that's what the purpose of the waiting game has to take place. But I think they're gonna find a way to push it all back because I feel like this is a new. We're literally stepping into a new world, without us thinking about it that way. Like we're dealing with a new economy and a new world. That's why I'm excited for the future. I feel like like this is gonna we're going to have a lot of opportunities, right? And being able to understand it now and capitalize on it now is going to set up for your future, and not just for you, but for your family, your kids. Because we don't imagine buying the stock market back in 2008. Imagine buying US 30. Like y'all could just look at the chart. The chart's there. But those changes is going to come, and then you're going to see it. So that's why I feel like the central bank is the person you look at because they're telling us if we should be worried or not. And when we listen to Powell, he doesn't seem worried yet. So I think that's going to be the start. But when we see that if it does get worse, it's not like we're all fucked. We still know how to take advantage of it because we're seeing it now how the markets are reacting without the proof yet. But when the proof comes in place, we're going to know how to take advantage of it. Yeah, Carlos, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to take a quick second to just encourage every trader on this phone call to really lock in, right? If you want to be successful in anything in life, you have to lock in and you have to become obsessed. I make a habit of surrounding myself with really intelligent people. Fortunate for me, I have access to Sakeem. I was talking to him this morning, and I'm like, damn, this guy is obsessed with the markets, and that's why he's successful. I have access to guys like Wayne, who has been absolutely killing it in the market, and he's not as vocal as I am with showing his profits, but this guy has more than doubled his account. I think Wayne has maybe tripled uh, his account. But
Stop telling people my business, man.
no, I know you're low key, but I have to put it out there, right? Like, guys like Wayne, Sakeem, these guys are obsessed. I was talking to Wayne yesterday, and I said to myself, this guy is obsessed. And that's why they are successful. If you guys want to be successful, whatever it is, you got to be success. You got to be obsessed, and you have to make sacrifices. Like Sakeem said in the beginning of this phone call, right? I took home 18,000 last week from the markets. And I don't say that to brag because that's nothing compared to what I'm doing in my other business. But I did that because I'm obsessed, right? I'm obsessed with success, and that requires sacrifice. A lot of you guys want the success, but you don't want to sacrifice. Some of you don't even want to listen to Sakeem's market wrap-up calls. And it doesn't make sense, guys. Like, if you want to be successful, you have to become obsessed. You have to eat, sleep, breathe this thing. You have to eat, sleep, and breathe the markets. Every piece of content that Sakeem releases, you have to consume it, and not just once. You got to consume it twice. You got to consume it 3 times. And I said it earlier, Sakeem is the cheat code. And a lot of you guys are on here paying and not taking advantage of the membership. And to me, it just blows my mind. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So if you want to you see guys like me being successful, I'm telling you what you need to do. You need to become obsessed. You need to absolutely devour every piece of content that Sakeem drops, every piece of content, every comment of people that are in this group that are successful. You have to harp into it and really decipher, okay, what is this guy doing that's making him more successful than me? Okay, this guy, he's not sleeping as much. He's on every single session. Then you need to do the same. So guys, really tap in, really lock in, and get obsessed, because that is the only way you are going to achieve success, is by sacrificing sleep, sacrificing time. You know what, guys, I can't go out with you this weekend because I really need to be locked in on the markets. Do whatever it takes to become successful, and you will get there eventually, right? It's taken me 3 years to become truly successful in the markets. It takes time. But if you are obsessed, you'll do it in a shorter time than I did, and you'll become even more successful than I am. But lock in, take advantage, and you will get there eventually, guys. I promise you. But you got to lock in. You got to make those sacrifices, and you got to do what it takes, and surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. And that's what I did. I surround myself with guys like Sakeem, guys like Wayne, guys like Jesse, people like Tierra, Farouk. Like, I have access to all of these people. I can pick up the phone and call them. And I have access to them, and I lock into them because I know that they're smarter than me. And I tap into them, and I draw from them, and I provide value to them as well. But I tell them all the time, like, you guys are way better traders than I am. I just have a high propensity for, risk. And I'm just super obsessed. And that's what makes me successful. But all these people, they're smarter than me. And I'm not afraid to admit that. But that's why I cling to these people. That's why I draw to them. So, guys, this week, lock in, crush it, and I promise that you will be successful. Sorry to be long-winded, but I just had to.
No, that's awesome. And I like what you said, too. The last thing is, this is not 1990s. This is not early 2000s. You could change your life in a month if you lock in, like, completely, because all the information that you need, it is right there in front of you. Like, you have access to everything to change your perspective tomorrow. Like, you could change your bank account, your whole livelihood in the next 3 to 6 months. It's not going to take 10, 20 years the way that people have been telling us in the past. You could change everything so quickly, but it's a battle with you against you. you know, because you have all the information right in front of you. You don't have to search anybody else. You don't have to go to another mentor. You don't have to go to another group. You don't need all of that shit. You know everything that you need to get to the next level. You know it. You just have to unleash it. You have to learn how to unleash it. All right, guys. So I appreciate you guys being here. You know, it's about to be an hour. Hopefully this was helpful. Go ahead. Go ahead, promise.
Hey everybody, thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you, Sakim. Thank you, Win. Thank you, Carlos, for the wonderful enlightenment and encouragement. Conscious. I was going to ask, I'm not telling you, I'm quite new.
It's
I was
hard to
going
hear
to
you.
ask, hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, a little better.
Okay. I was going to ask, it's more like a psychological thing. I don't know for me, but how do you come back from a relationship with
It's hard to hear you.
healthy? Can you hear me now? Sorry, my network is really bad.
Yeah, it's going in and out, so it's very hard to hear you. If you could type it, maybe.
Let me type, let me type.
Okay, brother. All right, Jonathan, I posted my trades in the charts because that's my way of keeping some sort of accountability to the group. Yes, or allowed to show that I'm taking the trades based on what I've learned here. I do have someone outside of the group, my investment partner, and he sees the trades that I take, losses and wins, and always question why did I do this or what was the reason for that. I can review it as well. Accountability, honestly, is something we need. Yeah, that's why like if you're another thing too is like when you're posting trades or you're talking about the markets, it's good to share that information because like when you're looking forward to a session, right? And then you start posting, charts and like these are my ideas, it's like another way to help you take it a little more seriously, right? Because like you ain't gonna want to post some bullshit. You're gonna want to post something that could actually help somebody. And if you start making that a routine, you're gonna start seeing like differences in how you journal, how you mark charts. People's gonna start asking you questions. And then when people ask you questions, you're going to want to give them an answer. So then once you start seeing people like, hey, how do you understand this? You're going to force yourself to get better because you're like, you don't want to tell a person, I don't know. Right. So you're going to learn how to figure it out. So that's why I encourage people to post, right? Don't care about looking pretty or what it takes. Just post, talk about how you think, and it's going to help somebody. I'm new here. It was only 2 weeks. I couldn't be more grateful. First time I've been profitable in 2 weeks in a row, 1,500. That's amazing. Even though it isn't much for me in a huge, and even though it isn't much to me, it's huge progress. Yes. Thank you, Sakim. I'm begging you many times in IG, and you answered every time. I've been recommending this group to all my trader friends because it made a huge difference in my trading. That's amazing, man. And I don't even, YL, like that's why a lot of us has to share our wins, and it's not for bragging. And if somebody thinks that you're bragging because you're confident and like you just want to share them, fuck them, like share your wins, be be happy about your success, like because more people need to see this shit. Like that's why it's not about if somebody thinks you have an ego to you, you deserve to have an ego because you work so hard to separate yourself from the average person that if they're saying that, yo, you're cocky and all that shit, be grateful, because, more people have to see people win, and that's what I recommend. Just show you win. It don't matter how little, how, but there's people blowing their account every day. And the only person that's going to talk negative about you winning is people that are not doing better than you. So that's why I recommend like, be cocky, be like, not, don't be arrogant, but like be excited in becoming who you are. And you have to show your wins. You have to, because you don't know the people that you are motivating. They're not going to tell you at that moment, but you're inspiring a lot of people to do good in their life. And then one day they're going to hit you up and they're going to say, yo, I've been following you for this long. And I just want to tell you thank you because I seen you show me what's possible and I got off my ass and I started doing it. Right. Even if it's like simple as you being a good parent, you being good to your wife, like you being good with your dog, show all of that shit because people don't see that on a daily basis, man. People don't see people being great at what they do out even outside of trading. Every win that you get, even if you get a new car, show your wins. Man, you get a new monitor, show it. You get a new shoes, show it. Show your wins. I'm telling you, people need to see that shit. Yeah, like screenshot your withdrawal and it went my yeah, man. Vision board is good too. I wanted to ask you how to get back up from a losing streak. Oh, from a losing streak, it's just like what I was telling BJ earlier. It's just you could follow everything that I do when I enter a trade, enter. That's one of the things just to start getting comfortable with your wins. Like first you have to trade less. Focus on taking 3 to 5 trades a week, right? At least 3 to 5 trades a week. And just only take trades when you have a high conviction. Like try to trade like whatever you were looking at, gold, equities, or a currency pair. Only try to take a trade when you have the highest conviction, right? And even if you just take one trade for the week and you win, right? Just stay within that rhythm until you start seeing those wins add up, right? And no trade, look for a home run. If you could get anywhere from 15 to 50 pips, try to take profit, right? Don't worry about money. Focus on percentages. Just focus on just taking the W because you have to just shift your perspective of trading from this is not working for me to like, oh, okay, now I see how it works. Oh, I won today. Okay, this is cool. Now let me wait for the next setup. And I'm gonna explain it all in the group. Like when I don't know how long you've been, but I'm gonna explain it all in the live calls because when you take that one trade and you win, you just have to replicate that. But don't focus on money because that's what's going to really hold you back in the beginning. Thanks for your content, IG. It was very an eye opener. Caught a lot of information. At least you weren't flaunting cars and fake dreams because it's scary out there. Yeah, like I say earlier, people need to see wins. I just don't like that. And it takes experience, right? Because they're not really showing you how really all they wins are coming from. A lot of these people have 4 or 5 incomes, right? So they're letting you know, like, are they making $100,000 trades on gold on in Forex? Yeah, they probably are. But to maintain the lifestyle is probably coming from 4 to 5 different incomes that you don't know about, right? So that's why I was saying when you're trying to build the puzzle in your life, you can't replicate the puzzle of somebody else because you don't know what that person has went through, right? You don't know what they're actually doing. But at least you could see that it's possible, and don't knock what they're doing because if you're like, I see this person like if you're like an example, like that's why like Alex ZG turned 100 to $1 million, and the first thing that comes to your mind is like, that's some fucking bullshit. I know that's not possible. You're literally telling the universe that it's impossible for you to do that too. So that's why you cannot think negative, even though that in our mind we're like, yeah, it's a little bit of bullshit and it's more marketing. But when your first reaction is like, that's not possible, you're telling yourself that it's not possible. And that's why you can't even accomplish that. So those are the little changes that I had to do too. I had to realize like, yo, what I say comes to reality. So if I'm saying like, it's not possible to see a motherfucker make $300,000 in a day from trading, then how is it possible for me to actually do it? I'm telling the universe that that's not possible, right? So you have to change your thoughts of how you think of stuff, but you have to catch yourself doing it first. Don't talk negative about something, especially in the craft that we're in. Like just an example, if Kobe scored 81 points, but before that, Wilt Chamberlain scored 100. If Kobe was like, man, that's impossible, he would have never reached 81. Right? If he already told himself that's impossible. He used to envision himself scoring thousands of points in a game. He used to say, I envision myself scoring 300 points in a game. So you have to think of the impossible. Like keep your expectations so fucking high, right? For yourself. You have to put yourself up there, but then what will it take to get it? All right. So yeah, but obviously listen to the right people. Like I wouldn't follow them. I had to go through a detox and cut all of them off my social media and stop listening to all of that shit and then follow the right people that talks about being obsessed with your craft, the mindset you have to be in a discipline. And because the people that talk that way don't flaunt those type of they don't flaunt like because they try to attract you with what they have instead of what they know. So that's the problem. And that's what I had to realize is like I don't want to attract people by having to show them what I got, but that's a part of the journey. You have to see people win too, but you want people to connect with you because of your information and how you could help them be successful. That's why I like listening to like Andy Frisella. You could listen to like Ed Millett, and there's a few other people out there too that gives you those right, those right. They're killing it. Like Ed Millett owns an island. Andy Frisella has a driveway of cars that people would never even fathom, right? But when you listen to them talk, but when you look at their effort and their grind, you're like, damn, these motherfuckers don't quit, right? So you just have to have that mindset. And I realize in this space, it's like how you have the lifestyle of an NBA player, but you show no work ethic. None of them show work ethic. Thanks, Akeem, everyone, for the insight and sharing the experience. Yeah, I'm glad that you got it, man. You will get there one day. Yeah, I'm gonna upload this too. Don't compare yourself to any of. Yeah, it's like comparison, but it shows what's possible, But also, like what I was saying earlier, Jonathan, don't like think negative of it. Like always tell yourself you could accomplish that too. Why not you, right? Because sometimes you got to just be sick and tired of the position you're in today, and you have to just be say like, you know what, I want more for myself, and do whatever the fuck that it takes to get it, and then you will. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks, Carlos. Thanks, James. Thanks, Wayne. I'll see you guys in the chats. Terrence, thanks for being here, brother.